Welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity, a show about weirdos. With your hosts, John Fahey, Aaron Peter, and Matt Brousseau.
Folks, welcome to Profiles in Eccentricity. It's a show about weirdos, doggone it. My name is John Fahey. Joining me as ever, Dr. Hannibal Letcher, the handsomest man alive, consummate pretty boy, high-functioning pervert. I could go on and on. It's Aaron Joseph Peter.
Hello, Jonathan.
Hello.
Tell me about when you were a child.
My father was a farmer. He was a real freak.
Yes.
Good.
Excellent. Good. And to my right.
My left.
You're right.
That's absolutely correct.
That's 100% accurate.
Dr. Matt Brousseau.
Hi.
PLSD.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
What does the LSD stand for?
LSD.
Got it.
Yep.
It's good to be here.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, we're a riot of the last episode, huh?
Yeah, when
Oof,
when I lashed out and kicked the camera and knocked the camera over.
Fucking asshole.
That was real. That really got out of hand.
Yeah,
It was a real. We really kicked it up a notch.
that was a real hootenanny.
Yeah. Pleased to say that many longtime listeners are now joining the Patreon, catching up on it. It's pretty cool. They're getting in contact, and
That's wonderful.
it's really, really nice. Our buddy Jorge just became a patron.
Riverall.
Yeah,
Oh.
Jorge just
Shout out.
joined.
Great
Artist
artist.
Extraordinaire.
Yes.
His art.
Comedian extraordinaire.
Yes.
Yes, my friend Karen just joined. It's really, really cool. Very exciting. And I do want to say that we are going to be doing episodes of Aaron Explains It All, wherein Aaron will go over, some of the shit that I told you that you're really good at explaining things, and you really make me give a shit about things I would not give a shit about.
Thank you very much. That's exactly right.
It's really good. It's really, really good.
You messaged me the other night about you explained it all to me about Silence of the Lambs.
Right, yeah, because I started looking at shit through that lens a little bit more, and then I was like, oh, yeah.
The lamb saves the lamb, saving the
The
lamb.
lamb, yeah.
Lamb to lamb to lamb.
That's
Right,
Try lamb.
right.
Try the lamb.
Try the lamb.
Skewered.
What Lecter does after she tells him that fucking story.
Yeah, his lamb.
He's like, guy demanded a second dinner. Lamb chops.
fucking asshole.
What a psycho.
And apparently there's something with fava beans and the Chianti. There's some sort of chemical reaction. I gotta look that up. I'm talking out of school right now. I'll work it in the Aaron Explains It All episode of whatever I decide to do.
I mean, there's so many.
There's so many. I mean, I think we're still working it out, and I'll take some suggestions. If you wanna throw some
I
out.
don't think there's anything you need to work out, because you do this already. Like, we'll be driving an hour to work, and I'll be like completely entertained, but I'll be like, whoa, he fucking talked about Stargate this entire ride. Like this, I mean, and I'm very interested now. Completely didn't give a shit when you started talking.
Right.
And you really sell me on it.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Thanks, man.
So that is going to be for patrons only.
Yes.
yes.
And now we did lower the minimum threshold, so if you even $1.
Well, that's for the
Ad-free
ad-free episodes.
Oh, right. Well, never mind.
So yeah. If you want the good shit, yes, $5 a month, you can get all the extra content.
You're gonna get a free education for $5 a month.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna start doing some other. We already do Chopped Up Jukebox.
Yep.
I kind of want to do the. I thought this was funny show again. That would be good shit to do too. Anyway, bunch of other shows and weird stuff.
Some listener profile suggestions.
Yeah, a lot of those.
I got a good one coming up.
Yeah. So guys, please keep sending us suggestions. It's so awesome. Some really, really, really good weird shit. Today I'm going to be doing a little bit of a hodgepodge. But before that, I want to also announce for the first time we are going to have piss shirts, piss T-shirts.
So exciting.
Yes, made by Graveyard Shift Screen Printing out of Fort
best.
Myers, the Latchet family.
Thank you, Jim.
And
The whole family.
Same fine folks that made Freak of the Teak shirts,
yeah,
as well as the Profiles of Eccentricity brand logo Ramon shirt.
yes, that's absolutely right, and that's exactly correct. And we we are gonna have the design up on Instagram soon, so you can see it yourself. But
you're gonna nut so hard. You're gonna be pissing nut.
It says, I mean,
guys, girls, whatever.
I don't mind telling you, it's piss. ... It's number one! Exclamation.
Yeah.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's number one.
Yeah, it is the best. It is number one. I did have my mind blown this weekend. I learned a new word for cum. Brogurt.
Brogurt from Kai. Very exciting.
Brogurt?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Canon.
Can't believe I didn't think of it myself.
Canon. Yeah.
Immediate canon.
Yeah.
Cannon fodder.
Yeah.
Brogurt.
It's so good. And also, speaking of shirts, we got to give a shout out to Andrew Chaplin, who sent us
you're wearing
these fucking Miller Lite T-shirts.
Very nice.
Got the John was like, Aaron, you've got a package at my house? I was like, fuck. What happened? What happened? And then I was like, just, you can open it, John. And there it was.
Yeah, and some
perfect, beautiful Miller Lite piss beer shirts.
Yeah,
and some stickers. And again, Miller Lite, unofficial sponsor of the show.
Cheers.
Piss beer.
Yeah.
Again, a fine Pilsner beer.
Yeah.
Union made.
Absolutely.
Only 96 calories per 12-ounce can. And
wow.
In that vein, on that same tip, I've got a little bit of piss beer ephemera for you all.
Is that about right?
That is about right. It's about right. And this is from none other than Joe Piscopo.
Fuck.
It just, you ever think you live in the Matrix?
Mm-hmm.
Here's Joe Piscopo as Bruce, and you'll get which Bruce. He's Chinese. And he did a whole series of these ads for Miller Lite during the Olympics in '84.
Oh, great.
And
okay.
Summer.
Yeah, and here you guys go. I'll turn up the volume here.
Is it summer?
Yeah, summer '84, Los Angeles.
Sweet.
Joe Piscopo of Saturday Night Live fame, etc., etc. New Jersey.
I am master of ancient art of karate, kung fu, and the Chinese chuckle. But the one about the specializing, I always reach for a cold Miller Lite.
Thank God.
Light tastes great. Light less filling too. Hey, anybody want a pepperoni? Ancient proverb. One light beer. Miller Lite.
Amazing.
So they put him in brown body?
No, that would be yellow.
Yellow body?
Yeah.
Put him in brawn body.
He did work out, that guy.
Yeah.
There's
Jeez,
it gets better.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know if it's better, but it gets
hard not to.
It gets more. It gets extra.
Absolutely.
Should I keep going?
More.
Yeah, absolutely. Please. Good God Almighty.
I used to be the roughest, toughest, meanest wrestler in the world. Hey, Python, how you doing? Sorry. But now, I've mellowed out. Excuse me. And there ain't nothing I like better than hanging out with my friends and sharing some Miller Lights. They love it because it's less filling. Me, I love it because it tastes great.
It's no match. There's only one light beer.
Spikes the bottle.
For girls swim team of East Germany, my comrades and I always love to come to America. We love the stylish clothes and late night TV. But most of all, we love the Miller Lite. It is truly superior beer, not only tasting great, but also less filling, which is very important to comrades and I, so to keep the girlish figure. Oh, yeah. Hey, cute, huh?
All over the world, there's only one light beer. Miller
Amazing.
Wow. They're really going for it. Olympic style. They're covering all the countries.
East German with a Russian accent.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. The Bruce Lee thing is really funny because it's so offensive. And Joe Piscopo would talk about how he felt like Phil Hartman's Sinatra impression was offensive.
Because Piscopo was friends with Sinatra.
Yeah.
And he's like...
And he did his own Sinatra impression.
Yeah.
And every time he did it on the show, he would call and ask Nancy permission.
Yeah, fuck you, Joe.
Yeah.
Seriously, come on.
What a fucking jerk off.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Go fuck yourself.
Hey, Joe, I really enjoy talking and all, but I gotta say, fuck you, Joe.
Man, fuck you.
Phil Hartman's
Put me
Sinatra
to a
was
law.
great.
Sinatra's... Hartman Sinatra is the one.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are some more here that I haven't seen.
Great.
So it's new to you, new to me.
Try it out. You want to try it out? Come try it out.
When I played hoops, I could beat anybody. Still can. Yo, cheap little one-on-one or what? Get out of town, man. Chicken! At least I can enjoy a Miller Lite while I'm looking for a game, right? How about you, Peanut? Wimp. Light tastes great, but these beanpoles probably drink it because it's less filling. Hey, yo, beanpole, you want to show me what you got? Tricks are easy. I'd like to get this turkey on the court. No contest. There's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
That's fucking right, though. There is only one light beer, and it is Miller Lite.
Wow. That makes this easy.
Us rap musicians like to think the best light beer is the one we drink. And every rapping cat I know drinks Miller Lite. Ain't that so? Tastes great. Let's fill it. Tastes great. Let's fill it. Lights got body. Lights got soul. Don't stop me now. I'm on a roll. Get it right. There's only one light beer from a Miller Lite.
All of these are pretty awesome, to be honest. They're all pretty fucking dope.
What if he was a fat rapper? Have we done that yet?
Mm-hmm.
Fat rapper?
Now make him like Violet Beauregard. You make him roll him around.
Yeah, what if they spun him around a bit?
Yeah. Now what if he was a little person? It's
Oh,
1984,
they're
so call him a midget.
They're funny.
Can we tell them about the Mike Tyson spinal?
Yes, I can tell him about the
Sure.
Mike Tyson spinal.
So you come in today to the studio and you say, "Didn't you see Mike Tyson
Fall down on a hoverboard.
fall on a hoverboard?" And me and Matt are like, "No." And so there's this. I mean, it's new, right?
It's this year.
So it's Mike Tyson on a hoverboard, and you're like this kid being like, "Daddy," blah blah blah, and then
He's spinning around on the hoverboard. Yeah.
Yeah, and you see him like begin to lose control, and then he eats it so fast and
you hear
so
his ass
hard.
hit the ground.
Yeah, and it immediately, the YouTube video we saw immediately cut to after a fight. Mike is talking to the interviewer after a fight, and he goes, "My back is broken," and the interviewer goes, "Pause. What do you mean by that?" And he goes, "Oh no," he said, "I broke my back. I broke my back. What do you mean by that? My back is broken."
Okay. Thank you, Mike. Back to the studio.
Yeah. Mike Tyson has a spinal.
Back to you.
Back to you.
Well, all right, folks.
Why would they call it a spinal?
I don't, that's the name of the video.
Yeah,
Mike
so
Tyson
the word-
hoverboard spinal.
Hoverboard spinal.
I mean, him falling is not even the funniest part.
No.
No, it's just that inclusion of that interview where it's like, what the fuck was he talking about?
Let's see if we can pull it up here. I'm not even gonna watch him falling. Just.
What do you mean by that? My back is broken. A vertebrae or what portion? Spinal.
That's right. Okay.
I broke my back. What do you mean? My back is broken. Like a vertebrae?
Spinal.
I mean spinal.
All right. Well, that covers all the ground.
I know a spinal dude when I see one.
Dude. God, that's so fucking great. Spinal. What, like a vertebrae? No, spinal.
Idiot. He should have said that's exactly right.
He wasn't calm enough to say
Nah,
that,
it was back
yeah.
before, you know.
Yeah, you chilled out.
Yeah.
So I read about this thing a long time ago, and I might have told you about it, but it's for whatever reason, it's very common in Norwegian and Scottish ancestry. It's this thing that's
Drinking pee?
Superiority?
yeah, Scottish superiority.
Never mind, I take that back.
Scotland Uberalis, mate.
I can't wait to get off my job at the alcoholism factory so I can go home and eat
my own shite. there's this a phenomenon called the Varda-ager.
Varda-ager.
Varda-ager, and it's common enough in Norway. There was a guy of Norwegian ancestry that I read about when I first came across this, and he was going to Norway on business, but had been, he grew up here, and he went over there, and the hotel clerk was like, "Oh, it's good to see you again," and whatever, and he's like, "Yeah, I've never been to Norway in my life, whatever. What the fuck are you talking about?" And he's like, "No, you were here a few months ago. We met a few months ago." And he's like, "No, dude, I've really never been here." And he's like, "My mistake, no problem," And then he goes and he makes his first business meeting. I think it was like in glassware or something. He was over there, and the guy's like, "Oh, it's good to see you again." And he's like, "What the fuck is going on?" And there's this phenomenon known as the Varda-ager, and it's like your projected self comes like before you do, and usually they'll do something like kind of to announce that you're going to be coming around, like that's kind of a thing. And he's like, it's pretty common in Norway, like don't take it too seriously. And it's like,
what?
I'm sorry, huh?
When I come around.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. I thought you would be interested because like it's about this thing where it's like saying that consciousness is not local,
sure.
And it happened to this guy in America, and he's like, I don't even have any fucking Scottish or Norwegian ancestry that I know of, which is it seems to happen to people mostly in that lineage, or it's not even like a folklore thing or anything. It's just something that they kind of like are like, oh yeah, I know about that. That happens, right? Very, very rare. But it happened to this guy, and he's like a scientist, so he was kind of like, really blown away. And it happened once when he was like driving home, and he came in and he's like, I got a pretty common routine. He's like, I come home and I go and see what my wife is doing, like in the kitchen, like kiss her on the cheek, and he's like,
and she's like, wow, you're a real tiger in the sack this afternoon.
Yeah.
Huh? Been to work all day.
No, he came home and went upstairs, and she was like, oh, fuck, that's weird, whatever, right? And he's like, then he actually came home, and she was like, what are you doing coming in all over again? And he's like, what are you talking about? I just got here. And she's like, no, you didn't. She's like, you got home like 10 minutes ago, and then you just went upstairs like a weirdo. And he's like, no, I didn't. And she's like, no, I saw you and everything. And their son is upstairs, heard him also come home. And he's like, yeah, it's this weird thing where like, I feel like it was while I was driving home. And he's like, and I feel like it's like something to do with kind of like my mental state of being on autopilot, doing a thing you've done a million times before. And like maybe that's what like kind of projects you out there or something like that. And because it happens to him again, and he's again driving, and he's somebody at work sees him going through the parking lot, like he's like, what are you fucking, this asshole's like wearing a suit in the parking lot, right? And
what do you take your suit off in the parking lot?
Yeah, when you walk around the parking lot naked?
Yeah. Well, no, because he was saying he gets like all into like the wardrobe thing about his work, because everybody would be like, if you're wearing grubby clothes, they'd be like, oh, you're gonna do some work today. And if you were wearing nice clothes, it meant like, people would be like, oh, did you get the job? Like your attire was like a thing that was commonly mentioned and made fun of. So this dude like goes to like intercept him at the door to be like, yo, what's up, asshole in a suit? And then he doesn't come, and he's like, what the fuck was that? And he's like, it's like expanse of open space. Like he's like, there's nowhere he could have run to. He's like, but I go out there and he's not there. And then I go up to the receptionist and I was like, hey, is fucking Billy in today? Whatever. She's like, oh no, he's not supposed to be here today. He's fucking going to a funeral. So he was also driving. And he's like, my wife commented on, oh, you poor thing, even on this day you have off, you're doing the same commute to work. And he's like, not even within miles of his work, but he's wearing a suit to go to the funeral.
Right.
Completely amazing.
It's fucking interesting. Where did you read about this?
I just looked it up after I read That Mystery's the Unexplained book, which has all that great stuff on spontaneous human combustion and all that shit.
And
Varda-ager. It looks like Varda-ager when you spell it, but it's that.
What is it? What does it translate to?
It's like kind of it's like a preceding spirit.
And it's never anything like robbing a bank.
No, it has like it's like doppelganger has evil connotations, right? And this is like in that similar vein, but it's totally harmless.
The mundane doppelganger.
Yeah,
boring ass doppelganger.
You just bought peas yesterday. I wasn't here buying peas.
Yeah.
I was murdering
somebody. Bought these peas.
I know, it's really strange because it's like, I'm going to be here in a couple months on business. It's like, well, why don't you just buy the glass now?
I'll be back.
No.
I won't remember any of this.
Actually,
you bring it up, okay?
Yeah.
I don't have a tattoo that says anything.
And it's either Norwegian,
Scots or Norwegians. I don't know what that's about at all.
That's interesting.
Well, it's all the hills.
It must be some
the wind.
Some common. Yeah.
It's probably the.
I think it's the wind.
It's probably the wind, right?
It's definitely the wind.
Yeah.
They must have some, shared folklore, right?
I guess. Yeah. I mean,
they're pretty close.
Yeah.
Sure.
Physically.
And then it's like you show up and then you show up. You can't stop coming. That's what it is. Varda-ager, I can't stop coming. Both of those peoples can't stop coming. That's what's up with it. The Scots and the Norwegians, heads up, folks.
Brogert?
On tap.
Yikes.
But isn't that fucking fascinating? Because the guy was like, he's like, I did my best to really, he told me, he's like, hey man, I saw you in the fucking parking lot like a psycho, like what are you doing? He's like, tell me everything. So he's like, tell me the time. And he's like, and I just traced it all back, and I was thinking.
Did you look up any other instances of it?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very rare.
Right.
It's like spontaneous human combustion. It's very, very rare. But this guy, like, he had this whole
unfalsifiable. Like you can't.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, it's there's if you look up Varda-ager, it's Vardogr, and it's apparently like a well-known thing in Norway.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Very strange, but
right.
Even like when did this happen?
Well, this guy's was it was the early 90s.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Pre-internet, but but fascinating, man. So interesting.
Yeah. And that it happens when you're doing mundane shit, that's interesting too.
Right. Well, it's like you're kind of like, I think he was saying, like, I feel like it was kind of brought about by this sort of weird hypnosis you're doing when you're on that level of autopilot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I always imagine, like, ghosts are just, like, there's, like, a ghost is someone who's just, like, the energy has been built up over years and years and years.
Big dick energy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just like someone's in a rocking chair and they're racist, so they're muttering racist shit for like 60 years, and then of course there's a ghost of a lady in a rocking chair.
Right.
Because she spent so much energy.
Fucking Irishman.
Yeah. But there's never like a happy Casper,
Well, now speaking of
Casper
racism,
was quite happy.
Well, I mean,
he's the friendly ghost.
Well, I know other than Casper, there's never like a ghost story where it's like cool. It's always like the ghost is always like built up and angry.
Yeah. They're like usually a modern ass ghost. Like,
someone just like on the computer.
That's Rick Wood's joke, right?
Yeah. I used to know this guy. It wasn't Rick Wood, but who had a joke like, "There's never like a coked up '80s ghost who like OD'd. It's like I'm never gonna give you."
Yeah. Rick Wood had a joke that was like, "There's never see anybody that died in the disco fire, like fucking fucking bell bottoms and
Yeah, where are those ghosts?
Yeah, doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, it's all bullshit.
But speaking of the racist thing,
great.
There's there's this fucking this unit of the SS. Which was called the Dirlewanger Brigade.
The Dirlewanger Brigade.
Dirlewanger.
Dirlewanger.
Oscar Dirlewanger was the leader of this monstrosity, and
now these are the guys that like found Hellboy and all that shit.
This guy was he was in World War I, and he's like years in between the two world wars, he's like an alcoholic psychopath, and he's convicted of raping a 14-year-old girl, and he goes to prison, and then I do believe that he actually went to prison again for sexual assault. And now he goes to a concentration camp, right? Because the Nazis are in power. And he puts out word through
he goes to one, like he's sent to one?
Yeah.
He's just doing hard labor or something.
Well, you're
because he was a criminal.
You're a criminal.
Got it.
Right? So he knows a guy that is a friend of Heinrich Himmler.
Oh.
And he sends word through this guy whose last name is Berger. And he goes, he's like, yeah, man, fucking WW1, what's up? Let me out. He lets him out.
Yeah, we were in the trenches, bro, so what if it's
Yeah. So,
Well, either we can send these 12-year-olds to fight, or, well, this guy.
so he joins the SS, and following the invasion of Poland, Berger gets him to start an insurrectionist hunting wing of the SS, right? And he fills it with men that were all criminals for poaching. Right?
Hunters.
They're hunters.
Elite renegade hunters.
And
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And Himmler got a call from Hitler saying that he had made the decision to suspend the sentences of so-called honorable poachers.
Honorable poachers?
What the fuck does that mean?
It's a good, fine, honorable poachers.
Well, you look at this man
and
here.
depending on their behavior at the front, to pardon them, right?
Okay, this is a lot like Captain America Civil War, the comic.
So
I just read it recently. We're gonna get all these bad guys.
Right.
And Hitler's like, I'd really prefer if they're Austrian or Bavarian, but not be guilty of crimes involving trap setting and
none of that dishonorable shit.
Yeah. No. But and they all got to take a marksman rifle corps.
No small mustaches.
And they're supposed to combine their knowledge of hunting and woodcraft.
And woodcraft.
And they're kind of like almost like
and child rape.
Being like, who's going to be a real baller soldier is this guy that doesn't even give a shit about the law.
Yeah.
It's reasonable.
Yeah, and so woodwork takes time and patience and
a steady hand.
A steady hand, yeah.
The British did it with the black and tans in Ireland.
Right.
They were all fucking prisoners.
Yeah.
Well, go there and kill some paddies and we'll forget about all those rapes.
It's the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad 2 filming now. James Gunn at the helm.
What are you, a metal worker? Get out.
See it in summer 2020. Yeah. Only in IMAX.
Well, we'll do ads later.
So they take 80 men, poachers. And after they go through all the training, there's 55 selected. The rest are sent back to prison. It's so funny.
25.
So funny.
What are you in for? I wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
To join the SS.
And so Dirlewanger gets made the commander, and he's sent to Poland. And they're just tasked with hunt down these guys that are starting rebellions, And this guy is a fucking psychopath. Right.
Well, he's not even a poacher.
Yeah.
He's an innocence poacher.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, he's, really just getting by on, his...
knowing Himmler.
And his love of violence, right? And that never really fails him. Both of those things. He goes, in the beginning, don't forget, the Nazi party and the SS is, considered elite. And so now you have this wing that is fucking straight up madmen. And people are kind of like, this is kind of tearing down our reputation here. We thought we were fancy and shit. And they're like, no, they're not really part of SS. They're just under the control of the SS.
Right, they're Schwarz ops.
Yeah. But that really doesn't become the case. They end up becoming totally a substantial wing of the SS because of their success.
Yeah, it's not like the rest of the SS was... clean and shiny.
Yeah.
Was there Was there one good person? No, there was no good person in that entire.
Well.
Oh.
What these guys did was so bad that the SS executioners complained about these guys because they were so horrifying. They ended up just becoming. Fuck the poaching.
Most elite death squad.
Yeah, what are you in for? Premeditated murder? We'll take you.
Right.
You're rapist? Come on in. Arson, burglary? Join Dirlewanger SS, right? And
fresh out of jail, homeless.
Yeah, and seriously, they committed such slaughter that SS people were tasked with starting investigations into them. Oh my god, that's how bad these guys were. And
SS had to hire accountants.
The SS had a death squad that was too hardcore.
Yeah. They're giving us a bad name.
Yeah.
And the Nazi propaganda was like, oh, these are like, you know, the Bavarian savage, you know, like they're so fucking like they had like this weird mythology to them, and they were just fucking awful human beings, you know. I mean, awful human, like so awful by Nazi standards, you know. So by 1940, they're fucking 300 men deep, and Dirlewanger gets another promotion from Himmler. And they're like, you don't even worry about the poaching anymore. It's just like, give us the nastiest dudes you can. We don't fucking give a shit. And straight up criminally insane people.
Give them a marksman course and then on your way.
And then they would also do a thing where they would sometimes beat and terrorize people into joining.
What?
Yeah.
You know, standard gang initiation.
Yeah, it's just like one of those things where it's like, no, fucking come on, fight with us, and they beat the shit out of you.
You're an animal.
Yeah.
Do they all drink milk and eat breakfast
Can you
cereals
imagine, like, the only thing more horrifying than being killed by these psychos
You're gonna be part of
is
us?
be one.
Yeah, well.
And they would do that. Like this guy.
Why? Like, did they need more people?
Was there any logic? I mean, there's not like
You're a serial killer with a free hand. You know what I mean? And that's the deal, basically. And then they become from beating the shit out of people and making them join. Now they're 700 deep, right? So they go from 300 criminally insane maniacs to 700 half hostage murderers. You know, and they're making you do this shit, right? Women, children
are joining?
No, murder.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
Dirlewanger would burn women and children alive, and let starved packs of dogs feed on them, and he would inject people with strychnine as like entertainment for his like fellow troops because of like how the body reacts.
Yeah, he probably sees up.
Fucking horrifying.
What is strychnine?
Poison.
Yeah, it's poison.
Rat poison.
And then in the transcripts of the Nuremberg trials, there's like the Soviets specifically try to find out about this crew. Like, who do you know? Do you know what they were doing in that SS unit, Dirlewangers? And so they become so horrifying that again, like the SS is like tasked with investigating them, but Dirlewanger just keeps getting promoted. Because he keeps putting down these insurrections by being so brutal and ruthless.
I mean, how many? Like, you wonder how many of them are actually insurrections, and how many is him just slaughtering people.
Yeah, he didn't put them down. He made them join their ranks.
Yeah, well, but he's also just slaughtering people and being like, well, they didn't want us to slaughter them. That sounds like an insurrection.
They were putting up a fight when the dogs were eating them. What do you expect?
So there was a quote about him that said, wherever the Dirlewanger unit operated, corruption and rape formed an everyday part of life, and indiscriminate slaughter, beatings, and looting were rife. That's about their time in Poland, and the complaints are so bad from fellow SS and Nazis that he gets transferred to Belarus. Oof. And they go into, again, anti-partisan activities, right? And kind of they would do the same thing, man. They would just gather civilians in a barn and set it on fire. And then anybody running out gets machine gunned.
Yeah.
That was his preferred method of execution. The victims of the unit were about 30,000, right? And the casualties were about 92 because most of the time they were dealing with unarmed people.
Yeah, the insurrection of unarmed people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Now you gotta imagine.
Yeah. And they were saying the 92 were probably just shot in like drunken accidents by their own men. They were like, even their own casualties were probably just like friendly fire or being psychos.
Fighting. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, probably, yeah. An insane guy fights another insane guy, and then the insane one wins and does something insane to the guy.
Yeah, it's natural selection of the insane.
Yeah.
Yeah. The bandits and bandit suspects. It was like bandit suspects was like, you know, a big part of their their tally. in the Soviet Union, they were said to be have committed such shocking atrocities that another SS corps was appointed to investigate them, and now they're taking in like Eastern volunteers too, right? This is more people that are kind of like beaten and shocked into joining. So it's criminals, people that are kicked out of other units of the army. Right. You could always go to the Dirlewanger SS, right? So it's just the most misfit, fucked up thing in the world. And Dirlewanger is like, he's said to be into like necrophilia, just a complete psycho himself. Sometimes he would do things that were so bad that his own men would complain. Like one time they opened up a building and it was just kids, and they all had their hands in the air, and he ordered them all slaughtered, and to not even waste the bullets but to bayonet them. And they were like, there was just
don't waste your bullets.
Yeah, and then just they were like the blood was coming out like in rivers of this place, and it was
such small bodies.
It
so much blood.
It was the first time that even his own men were like, dude, this is really fucked up. But he keeps sailing through the ranks of the Nazi organization, because he's a fucking psychopath.
So this is all like, what kind of promotion do you get?
They had like a title like Super Commando.
Then Uber Commando.
Yeah. So he would get because at first it was like, these guys aren't even really in the SS, it's all kind of fake and shit like that. And then they were like, oh no, this dude's,
he's a hardcore guy.
Yeah. So yeah, now they have like, there's no crime that prevents you from getting in this unit now, right? Anything, right?
Tax evasion?
Anything.
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Hundreds more join, and
what, like at the barrel of a gun, or?
Oh no, it's just. It's not prison.
Yeah.
And
then, as the war goes on, they need more and more men, and if the scumbags can't be in one division,
right? And now you're getting towards also 1943 too, so it's the desperation aspect is taking hold.
Kids who didn't do their homework,
didn't put away their blocks,
right?
And so Dirlewanger though was actually like really like leading many of the assaults. Like he wasn't like, just kind of like behind the scenes being like a fucking. He really was, really into it. And they start going to the front more. Now it's not just kind of like, hey, pick out these kids and kill them. It's
now they're a regiment.
Now you're like, you got to go fucking fight.
Right.
And he was wounded 12 times in combat.
Rug burn, like from all the rape.
Yeah, he got the tennis elbow.
Yeah, from all the stabbing of children. Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah,
don't waste the bullets is savagery.
Yeah, really, really bad. Really bad.
Kids with hands in the air.
Yeah, there was a sapper that was in the unit.
A sapper?
The guys that go and do the engineering. If you need that bridge blown.
Oh, okay.
I'm that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And there was a dude like that in the unit, and he was just like, I remember opening these doors and seeing like all these little hands in the air. And it's just like, there was just nobody he wouldn't kill.
Yeah, it's almost like Blazing Saddles level. Like, it's absurd, but it's obviously too real. It's not like,
it's too real, but I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, it's over the top. Yeah. Very over the top.
You can imagine him in his head saying, like, oh, it's like, who wants to be slaughtered? Oh, 2 hands in the air. Raise your hand if you want to be slaughtered. Look at them. They're raising their hands.
Like, what do you like to do? Stampede cattle? Oh, through the Vatican.
Yeah, so now they're kind of like on the they're on the run a little bit. They're kind of getting beaten back to Germany, and they're just they're taking a lot of casualties on the way out because they're not really trained soldiers,
right?
And they don't really have combat experience or like strategic
really good at killing unarmed kids. But not some Russians with some rifles.
One guy with a gun could probably hold them off.
Yeah. So the front that they had to go fight in, was that like they were fighting Russians?
Yeah, they would have been fighting Russians, and now they're kind of they're coming back to Poland, and Himmler's telling them like, yeah, do whatever you want, rape, loot, fucking go nuts,
fucking shit ass psychopaths.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, and there was the Wola massacre. That was the Dirlewanger crew. 40,000 civilians in 2 weeks in August. Including, this is so fucked up, but including all hospital patients and staff.
And staff.
Like, what? What? Can you fucking
Those
imagine?
Killers half kills, dude. You don't get to chalk one up on your belt or notch on your belt, chalk one up on your bed, whatever.
Imagine you're
For
in
the person who's got lupus in a hospital. You don't get a kill for that.
Right.
They're half in the grave.
Right, yeah,
Unarmed.
killing people in comas and shit, bayoneting somebody in a coma.
Comatose Killer is my favorite punk band.
But I mean, that's what happens when you don't view people as human.
Yes.
And so it's the whole dehumanization of all of their enemies.
Yeah.
And we see it in things happening in politics today. Still,
It's
Yeah.
that's how it makes it easy for people to do those things
Yes.
because they don't have to think twice about it.
Yeah.
And they're psychopaths.
They when they got into Warsaw, they had 865 enlisted and 16 officers, and then they soon had received 2,500 replacements, right? And these included 1,900 German convicts from the SS military camp at Danzig.
Yeah.
Mother. And the resistance now.
So it was a bunch of misfits?
Ah, very good, very good.
Nicely done.
The resistance now is starting to hit them back really hard in Warsaw, and they're taking a lot of casualties.
Oh, it's probably because Wojtek was like,
Yeah,
We gotta get a little bear power.
Set it
you
off.
wanted animals, you go.
Yeah. These fuckers couldn't fight a
Wojtek
bear.
the Polish bear.
Yeah.
Coming straight up in that ass with the resurrection.
So after this massacre, man, it's like this total cause and effect where like the Polish come back so fucking hard and decimate like fucking 2,700 of these guys because he's like replacing them. They just keep getting. In 2 months, the Polish uprising like hands them their fucking ass.
Hey, nicely done.
Yeah,
You can only fucking back people into a corner so long.
Right, but there's all these fucking shit ass psychopaths.
Yeah, they're not trained.
No.
and they don't have anything at stake, right?
Yeah.
These people are literally fighting for their lives and their existence as a people.
yeah.
And so they've got some actual skin in the game, and these guys are just fighting for the taste of it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, and so they massacre those kids there, and they kill 40,000 people. Then they fucking take a beating, and he's recommended for the Iron Cross.
Are they gonna put him on it?
No, he's getting the Knight's Cross of the Iron Cross. So just another honor
Yeah.
after like him just being like the biggest scumbag in the world. And he actually still is able to have the Polish surrender, the insurgents surrender, and that's in October 44. So like this is like at the end.
Yeah.
These guys are still so brutal that they're able to stop an insurrection that deep in the war.
Yeah. And what happened when they surrendered? Were they massacred?
No, I don't believe so. I think it was
He got
just...
soft in his old age.
Yeah. Oh, wait,
Well, I think also they probably took him out of there, right? And
Right.
he goes to do the Slovak national uprising.
Ooh.
August 44 is when that started. He gets sent over there, and
To Slovakia.
yeah, and they put down the uprising again. But,
what the kids were up, right? You put down the kids and dogs.
yeah,
Yeah.
by the fall, the uprising was over because of these psychos.
You really stopped the rocks.
And so now it's getting late in the game, and there's this weird thing where people are actually trying to join that are communists and socialists because they want to join so that they can defect to the Soviets. So they kind of want to go to the front and flee. So he's getting this
Because at this point, his death squad is the Warda-ager SS
yeah.
is on the front line, and so people know that if I go here, I'll be closer to the other side.
Exactly. Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It's hard to defect when the army's storming into your house. You gotta
Yeah.
defect before they get to there. I'm defecting.
Yeah.
Hands up.
So then they start getting guys in that actually have like more combat experience. It's usually again people that like Himmler has kicked out of some other unit, and because now they're just doing they're basically just battling the front, right?
Yeah.
So they kind of like get some like better battles fought and shit like that. They actually have a little bit more know-how and shit, and then they get beaten back to Germany, and they're given permission to expand it to a whole division, not a brigade, right? Because like, again, we'll take anybody.
Yeah.
Like the jig is up and stuff, and he ends up outliving Hitler, right? He gets captured like a month after Hitler's suicide, and
That was in air quotes, man.
the French get him, and the French just beat him to death. Because they said he died in prison of natural causes. Yeah. People were like, "What?"
Yeah, like fist storm.
Yeah.
And so then there was like a long time, like kind of mythology about whether he died at all, and people reported sightings.
Yeah,
and
Varda-ager.
Yeah.
From Buenos Aires.
Yeah.
I'll be back.
He and then the French exhumed him, and they were like, "Look, we beat him to death. Here you go. You know what I mean?
Do it again.
Yeah. Take his ass some more."
Jesus.
Yeah, Oscar Dirlewanger.
Oscar Dirlewanger.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any more details on his beating to death?
No, it was at first. I mean, that's also just what they believe happened. Because they did say he died of natural causes in prison.
Well, sure. I mean, at that point, naturally, you'd want to beat him to death.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Naturally. And fists are natural.
They are made of flesh and
too.
bone,
Yep.
and you could say that it is those fists of fury were an extension of Mother Nature, natural selection,
yes.
Right?
An autoimmune response of the human race,
Right? Genetics, breeding,
eurythmics.
Yeah.
Huh?
What? Eurythmics.
Yeah, walking on broken glass.
Yeah.
That hurt.
In 2009, the Polish said that they knew of 3 living members of the regiment in Germany, and they announced intent to prosecute them. Can you fucking imagine?
Oh, I almost got away with it too if it wasn't for you meddling Polacks.
Imagine that. Like, it's just like, imagine just going to the store and being like, remember when I was in that band of roaming rapists and psychopaths? Like,
I'll get them on low today.
Yeah. Like, what a bunch of fucking insanity.
Yeah, so it's not like they all of those guys in the regiment then went straight into jail when the war was over. They all fled to various parts and just like hid out until
Magneto caught him.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Isn't that good shit?
It's very good shit. It is. The thing about Nazis is that they are the ultimate bad guy, right?
Yeah.
They're recent enough to where it's still...
Oh, they're still walking around.
Right, and
The Polish got to get you in 2009.
Yeah, you can talk about the Khans, or you can talk about the Mongols, or whatever. Right? You can go back to these horrific regimes, but they're so removed that it's lore at this point.
Yeah, I'm not riding on the Mongol horse and dressing with the clothes made by the Mongol clothes designer. I mean, that would be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool,
Yeah.
Hugo Khan suit. But it's recent enough to where it's still a fresh wound, and there's still some reality there, and
but I mean,
there are people. My grandparents, or our grandparents were alive during that time, and they are, they're the empire. It's but to get some like real, even more in-depth, true brutality, like it really was that bad.
This is so insane. It's like something Tarantino would make up.
Yeah, it's the most elite death squad.
And I was like, you don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
Nobody knows about this guy. Like, you know about Mengele and shit like
All
that.
All you gotta do is look. You gotta turn one extra page, and it's like, oh, it was as bad as we thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, so bad that the Nazis are like, you can't. That's over the line.
Yeah.
At least put him in a camp first.
Jesus Christ! And I mean,
this guy was too dirty for us.
Yeah. Fuck, man. But you know.
I mean,
all we did was try to exterminate a race of people and homosexuals and mentally.
I mean, I think it's just the hypocrisy is built on the fact that it's too public. Like they were able to hide the camps from even the people, the German people in the town.
Yeah,
right.
You know, and so when the U.S. Army liberates the camp, they make all the people go into the town and look at the camp, and they're horrified by what they see because they chose to not know or just
also when they showed propaganda films, and it'd be like everybody in a camp would be playing soccer.
Yeah.
It was like a real good time. It's like, see, they're fine.
They're fine. Yeah, they're skinny.
You know, that was what they would show the German people. They'd be like, yes, camps. Yeah, 3 hots in a cot.
Wow.
I should be so lucky. I got to work for a living.
Look at that cross.
Yeah, I wish I could fucking play soccer all day.
These Jews and gypsies haven't made it.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm gay.
You know what I'm gay for? Not working.
3 hots in a cot.
3 hots in a cot.
So the cross grenades, you ever see that?
Huh?
Two cross grenades. That's the Dirlewanger.
Oh, the
and
symbols
it's still worn by neo-Nazis to this day.
Why is this the guy you want to fucking idolize?
Because they're idiots.
Yeah. That's.
You know, I saw. Oh man, who did I hear recently say every time I've seen like pictures or videos of like neo-Nazi white supremacist rallies, they're not like the most supreme people.
No, they're fucking.
I don't see a lot of Nobel Prize winners or cancer.
It's fucking George Carlin's fucking ape joke, or fucking people who don't believe in evolution always look like they didn't evolve.
Yeah.
There's these fucking lame ass.
Why are people that are against abortion you want to fucking?
Yeah, maybe that's what I said.
Yeah. The next thing I'm going to tell you about is some neo-Nazi shit.
Oh, you got some more shit?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
It's fucking lame-ass tweets.
There's this, I tell Matt about it, but there's this ETF agent that ended up the leader of a Nazi biker gang.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this one. This one's fun.
He's into like they call them motorcycle clubs. Right.
Of course they call them motorcycle clubs.
And a lot of them
it's like their concentration camps.
Right, yeah. A lot of them, are like really they were kind of doing the swastika thing at first, in like a punk way.
Yeah.
Like
this is a
fuck society, I don't care what you say kind of thing. And then it was just straight up white power dudes into it,
Yeah, it's very convenient for them to have that option.
Yeah. And he gets into this motorcycle club called Brothers, whatever, and
just called Brothers whatever.
Brothers Motorcycle Club.
Brothers whatever. That's super punk.
There's gangs like
picture of Fonzie on
Outlaws, the Warlocks, the Mongols.
Warlocks, Mongols.
Yeah,
this is full of Marvel.
And so they get asked to basically start infiltrating Hell's Angels in Ohio, Youngstown, right? He goes and he's like, he gets a CI that's like a guy's facing some hard time for accidentally killing a guy in a fight. And he's like, I can get you into this, kind of in with this biker dude, but kind of like you're going to have to go and whatever.
You're going to have to smoke some meth.
So they end up scoring a lot of meth.
Oh, great.
See?
Good for them. John, can I have one of those?
Absolutely, Matt.
Thank you.
This is Miller
That's
Lite.
The official beer of Joe Piscopo.
Yes.
Racist. Comedian.
Short man.
So there's a guy named Aryan Jim, right? And he goes by AJ. Right?
Is that like a play on like
on AJ?
Jim from Huckleberry Finn? Yeah. See, but I'm Aryan Jim. It's different.
Very good, Aaron. That's very, very nice.
I'm learned. Am I good here? Help me.
So AJ knows how to build machine guns. And
build them.
Cool.
Well, I mean,
the
parts only go in one way. It's not like,
You get a bump stock or something.
Forrest Gump could do it.
So the plan was for the snitch to introduce AJ to another undercover agent that is named Nazi Jim.
What?
So there's Aryan Jim and Nazi Jim,
Which is also Aryan Jim, but
and they become fast friends.
One is biological, the other is political.
Yeah.
This guy knows his politics.
And so it was basically the deal was like Nazi Jim goes to AJ, buys the machine guns, fucking go to jail. That's supposed to be the end of it, right? And so he's like, he turns around to the CI and he goes, "All right, what did you tell him about Nazi Jim?" And he goes, he's like, "I didn't." He goes, "I told him, I give him your description." And the guy goes, "Me?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I told him that your name was Junkyard." And that you knew my dad from county, right? And he goes, "Why Junkyard?" And he's like, "I don't know." And he goes, "Well, what else did you tell him about me?" He goes, "I told him that you and my dad used to go to bars and wrestle bears."
What?
Yeah. So he's like, so suddenly I'm Junkyard, the bear wrestler, and I'm going to meet Aryan Jim.
What's the name of your friend, the bear wrestler? Junkyard.
Yeah.
He's like, just drove past the junkyard on his way there.
Fire hydrant.
So he goes, so Aryan Jim, and he goes with Nazi Jim, who's an undercover, and they meet Aryan Jim, and they're drinking beers, and he's like throwing some little tidbits out about like, yeah, kind of crime, whatever. And then AJ is like, "Yo, fucking, here's the deal with the guns, no serial numbers, totally untraceable," and he's just paying him for these guns, right? So AJ's like, "Fuck, this is great," It's like, I really kind of like this dude, and he's telling him like, "Yo, I'm straight up Aryan Brotherhood, and I'm this level in it, or whatever, blah blah blah." And
his brother's Aryan Paul, Aryan Steve,
and he goes
Black Tom, adopted,
and he's like Aryan Jim knows I was into bikes, and he goes, "Yo, man," he's like, "I always wanted to start a bikes." He's like, "I always wanted to start a motorcycle club." He's like, "Let's do it." He goes, "You bring 5 guys, and I'll bring 5 guys, and we'll start us a biker gang, right?" So Junkyard undercover shows up with 4 or 5 other ATF agents. So
guys, you're not gonna believe this.
So all right,
we're gonna need to come up with some names.
You know how you want to get off desk duty?
And so he's like, they're kind of in competition with the Hells Angels, right? These the Aryan Brotherhood, like, they're all into like scummy underground shit, and he's like, "I want to build up this motorcycle club and kind of flex on them a little bit more," and there had been no Aryan Brothers sanctioned motorcycle club before this, and so this
the official Aryan AB stamp of approval.
Yeah,
well, you got to file the paperwork.
You
got
a swastika, poof, approved.
And he's telling him, he's like, "Yeah, man, fucking, you're
red tape's a nightmare."
Right, Aryan accountant.
So
Aryan human resources, subhuman resources.
So one guy's a sheriff's department dude. The other 4 are straight up ATF agents. And AJ brings a bunch of other psychos. This guy named JB, convicted murderer on parole, and David Snow. David Snow was an Aryan Brotherhood member that spent most of his life quiet, redhead dude behind bars. And he was known for orchestrating from solitary an 11-day prison riot.
From solitary?
From solitary.
It's pretty impressive.
High notes in his shit?
Yes, notes of raisin and
corn with a K.
Corn with a K. Oh, it tastes like new metal.
It says the riot must continue.
Yeah. Keep going.
I'm
just a quiet redhead in solitary, but
it's runny. There's a lot of running involved. Got it.
So he's a fucking psychopath, obviously.
He already
23-hour a day lockdown, and he orchestrates a.
He's very productive in that 1 hour.
Yeah. We gotta get these guys like. Running companies.
I was thinking that maybe you guys could just start a ruckus and keep it up for maybe about a fortnight.
We've got 58 more minutes, so we must be quick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So keep going.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you later.
So he is.
I thought about it, and it needs to be 11 days.
Allegedly.
My favorite number.
so used to living in confined spaces that when he gets out of prison, he lives under his mother's trailer.
What the fuck?
He lives under it.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
These steps go down.
But it's fine.
Usually they go up into the trailer.
Are you sure you don't want to come inside, David?
White power.
What?
No, Mom.
Yeah.
Mom, you know I can only talk to you between the hours. And you know I only do it through my excrement. I'll see you at 3 p.m.
Yeah.
I like to think of him as a very soft-spoken mother.
Yeah.
You know the rules.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
So
And
I've been digging, and now I live underneath.
Uh-huh.
so these guys are straight up a half and half snitch psychopath motorcycle gang.
Oh my god.
Straight up.
This is great.
And
It have the rights. Profiles in Eccentricity 2019 rights reserved copyright. Profiles in Eccentricity LLC. No. Has this been made into? Has this been optioned yet?
I don't think so. No.
Has now.
And so I mean, I don't know how you could possibly hang around with psychopaths all day and not be like, this is a fucking nightmare, you know?
Yeah, you can. I've been around some maniacs a couple times, more times than I like to admit, and it's hard to like fake it that long, you know. It's hard to be like, yeah, I know, right?
And then they might notice and get angry at you for not.
Yeah, you can't fake it that much. Well, that's why I'm not an undercover cop. Fuck you.
Yeah.
I guess that's why I'm not, because
right,
you can't like. Yeah, we should stab those fucking kids, man.
Yeah.
But you know what happens is when you can't fake it anymore. At some point, you start to accept it and
as normal.
Yeah, and then you start doing it.
Then you Donnie Brasco. Whack him, Donnie.
Because,
Who's the real you?
But the thing is that you know, it was supposed to be a one and done, right? Get these machine guns, whatever, and then they were like, oh no, he's like attracting more ex-cons that are now joining the biker gang. That means more
gun deals.
More gun deals. And like
never mind the alcohol and tobacco.
The ATF is like, you know, we're tasked with chasing guns. So he's like, now we're like, the guns are fucking coming to us.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, keep going with it.
Anyway, I mean, some of this is like it could be, some of it could be entrapment-esque, because maybe these guys wouldn't have joined a group that sells guns if there wasn't one available.
Right.
Maybe they would have found something else to do, but when this
like
is what they know.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear about these guys, you're like, oh no, they're pretty enthusiastically shitheads.
They were only waiting
for
any opportunity.
There are.
I probably shouldn't give them the benefit of the doubt.
There's like three things. Yeah, you sound like a sympathizer. Aaron, Matt.
Aaron and Matt.
Gangs like that. Those what do you call them? Illegal organizations, criminal organizations. They only deal in a few things, right?
Right.
Illegal drugs, human trafficking, or arms dealing. And so ATF is going to go for one of those things, right? So it's a pretty good game move on their point.
Oh, yeah. So
because that's right. You're going to get the people who are going to find it no matter what, so you might as well be in charge of it.
Yeah. Wow. Just half of them are narcs?
Half of them. And one of them goes by Nazi Jim.
Which seems like it should be a tell, but there's also an Aryan
You're Nazi Jim. I'm Aryan Jim.
Why? What are the odds?
Do we have the same mother?
Yeah. My dad was SS Sean. So
what is like the most narc undercover name too?
Yeah.
I'll be Nazi Jim. That'll work. And it does?
Yeah. Why Junkyard? I don't know. I told me your name was Junkyard. Oh, okay, cool. I wrestle bears?
I don't know what junkyards look like.
Should I have scratches?
I don't know where they come from.
Does he like he has to put car parts in his yard just for people to leave?
Wear the brand.
So he talks about like he's like one time he's like I would have to go through this shit where like, you know, I would be seen by like World War II vets. And they'd be staring like daggers at me, and I would want to tell them like, "Look, man, I'm not really into this."
You can't.
Yeah.
Hey, man, between you and me.
Yeah. So they
Between you, me, and Nazi Jim.
God. Nazi Jim's a good guy. Hear him out.
You don't know him like that.
So they get a house, right? And it becomes like this, like, you see a bunch of bikes outside. It's like other shitheads, kind of like they fly the flag of their motorcycle club outside. And
What's the flag?
it's Order of the Blood is the yeah, it's a Hitler thing.
Order of the Blood.
There was a blood order thing that Hitler had.
This is so fucking good.
Yeah.
It's so Nazi. It is so neo-Nazi.
It's like lazy, but it's like lazy Nazi, where it's
Yeah.
like they're just dragging people in. They're like, oh, I know Nazi stuff.
So all the ATF guys live at the house, which is Nazi Biker Central.
Nazi house.
And they
the camera.
hell, dude, come on, what are you gonna break a bottle next?
Jesus Christ.
And there's a hot tub at the house, right?
Nazi hot tub.
Nazi hot tub party.
Yeah, which is okay. That's the. We should also get the rights to that.
Yeah.
And but they would do the debriefing at the end of the day in the hot tub because they knew the jets would muffle their voices.
Guys, we gotta have a meeting. Everybody shrimp.
Yeah.
No, we're in a wire. I can tell.
Yeah.
Get in just in case.
I got a wire right here.
Oh my God! It sounds like a sequel to N-Word's Revenge. Last one in the hot tub's a rotten egg. Oh, who's coming in from the woods?
Yeah.
I got a message for you, Stool.
Oh, jeez. This is insane.
Yeah, it's incredible.
This is the second sequel to Hot Tub Time Machine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nazi hot tub party.
Time.
But the Nazis are all actually ATF agents.
And they're hot.
And can you
They're
imagine
wrestling bears.
Can you imagine like the tattoos these guys would be getting and stuff too?
Oh, because they gotta.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have one, what are you doing?
Yeah. You gotta
Right?
get some fucked up shit.
I mean,
Yeah.
odds are they probably had some, but then they had to
Yeah.
get some new ones. You know, because the whole
Yeah.
crew goes out for ice cream.
Right.
And they get some tattoos.
And then they gotta, don't get it wet. Can't get it wet in the hot tub. Ooh, it burns.
So
Kiss it.
they're still going home too, right? Like they kind of live there in shifts so that like one of the ATF guys can go home to his wife and child.
Honey, you wouldn't believe what happened to work today.
Yeah.
I had to get this tattoo.
Junkyard came over, and
Yeah.
Nazi Jim was there, and they've been having some beef over eugenics.
Yeah. Yeah. On meth.
While they were listening to the Eurythmics, and one of them found out he likes was Jewish. And the whole thing.
So there's like a bar that's like cool to them, and like this is part of the thing. He's like, I can't believe how many fucking like normie people were actually like really cool with us. And this guy tells us like, oh, if you guys want to like sell all your Nazi merch, I have a lot down the street you can use. And so they set up, this little fucking Nazi yard
Fucking
sale.
big
Nazi
sale.
Etsy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's he's like tourists, regular people.
Ooh, look at this. This is cute.
Yeah,
Wow.
he's like
It's kitchen.
You know, you always wanted a Nazi shirt.
he's like I was so surprised that like the most ordinary person would come in and be like, oh yeah, I'd like to get that Nazi gear, like. And he's like,
Did they write their names down too? There's a lot of people who are okay with Nazis that just don't join biker gangs.
right, yeah.
Right, or people that fetishize it and who aren't sympathizers, but either sympathize it because they're freaks or just the war memorabilia aspect to it.
It's not like America has
Yeah.
an issue with that with all the people with Confederate flags. No, America has no issue with people
Right.
Who enjoy the losers
You lost.
of wars.
He's- There's this kid that's like, I want to get something. Can I, Dad? And his dad's like, no. And he's like, come on, please. He's like, can I? He's like, no.
Oh, you're such a Nazi.
He's like, no. And he's like, why not? And he goes, because you're Jewish. So good.
I mean, that can't be good. I know, obviously, this must have a decent ending, but they're still allowing propaganda to filter throughout the community.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but
those are really good ashtrays.
I mean, you should see those ashtrays.
At the same time, those are really good ashtrays at an affordable price. I
Wow,
mean, I don't know what you want.
yeah.
I mean,
Do you want to support local businesses or not, Matt?
Yeah.
You know what? Politics get in the way of a free market or what?
Yeah. I mean, I also have a Star David ashtray.
And I put all my cigarettes in that one. We don't use the Nazi one.
So he's like, it's like keeping up with gossip, right? The shit with the Outlaws and the Hells Angels, it's like children. They're fucking kids.
What?
They're immature, you know?
Thought they were fucking kids.
Yeah.
Different Nazi death squad.
No,
Got
right,
it.
exactly.
Got it.
And, you know, there's always beef going down, and, people, now that they have a club, like, these guys start getting crazier, because now they're like, I got a fucking pack, right? And they start doing crazier shit. They don't realize half their pack is fucking ATF agents, you know?
Right.
So they start kind of flexing and shit.
But it's still, I mean, the ATF agents are still like the original 5 founding members, basically.
Right,
They're not
original
recruiting
Avengers,
more.
yeah.
No, but
those who met, you know, half of the round table is narc.
So Aryan Jim one day, he goes to a Cleveland Hells Angels bar, and he fucking rides his bike in and like does a bunch of circles in the bar and peels out and like bails.
Which is very impressive.
In the bar?
So in the bar,
Yeah.
and obviously the Hells Angels are like, dude, you know. And so then, like, there's some big race coming up where all the biker gangs come out and they go to this thing. And the Hells Angels, they also kind of know a junkyard, right? You know? And, and
David Junkyard.
And they go, hey, dude, you know, where's AJ? We're gonna fuck him up. And JB, one of the real Nazis, goes, you guys aren't touching any of our guys, right? And so then they walk over to Snow, you know, because you got to get close because he's so soft-spoken.
And white.
And
pure.
he said, go back over to them and tell them that if any of our guys get touched, that we're going to greenlight everybody in the Ohio prison system who wears the Hells Angels patch. So it's like, green light is like contract.
Yeah.
And
a lot of those guys have the ink.
oh yeah, dude. And
So if they see,
and you know, the Hells Angels are nothing to fuck with. They completely dwarf these Aryan Brotherhood dudes.
Yeah.
But they also know that what David Snow did in prison.
Right.
And so they're like, oh yeah, he's probably not fucking around. And they're like, all right, man, but like, you guys seriously got to do something about AJ.
Come on, dude.
All right. And then, so Snow does the right thing, and he goes over and he's like, give me your patch from AJ. So he kicks him out of the club. And,
because he went in there with the...
because he started shit, you know, it was like, you know,
You're out of the treehouse, dude.
and, so AJ, like, starts arguing and shit like that, and Snow just goes, are we gonna have a problem? And he's like, and are we gonna have a problem is code for, do I have to kill you right here in front of everybody?
Right.
So then he's like, no, okay, I'll leave, you know. I mean, how funny is it the scariest dude is a redhead that talks quietly? You know?
Well, yeah, but, you know, the quiet guys are, you
Those are the ones you got to worry about. Quiet redheads, they're either maniacs or great in the sack librarians.
Oh, yeah.
So the Hells Angels, though,
that.
are still kind of, like, riled up, and then, like, you know, they're kind of like, you know, yeah, there was about to be shit, and there wasn't
they got
shit.
They got blue balls.
And so he's like, one of their guys, you know, has, like, a shotgun on, like, the bed of his truck, or on the seat, and the door's open, and
We
he's...
got to kill somebody now.
Then he starts putting on black leather gloves.
Oh, my God.
And he's like, he just goes, listen, man, if that guy picks up that gun, we're going to kill everybody here that doesn't have our patch. And now this is Junkyard, an ATF agent, saying this. So you can see how he's getting into...
Yeah, the drama.
Yeah, you have to. There's no escaping it. Yeah. You know, it's this crazy tribal bullshit. And,
Oh, my God.
yeah, so...
This is so exciting.
It's really great shit. And, right after that, they decide it's time to grow the fucking club, right? Because we got to get more dudes if we're going to be getting into shit like this.
Yeah.
And there's just more and more ex-cons, more drugs.
Oh, my God.
These guys are doing explosives.
As drugs?
yeah.
These guys are railing TNT.
Yeah.
It's dynamite.
This is dynamite stuff.
Uh,
That's why they call it blow.
so they're like,
I can't wait to get out of jail so we can join this club.
here's the deal, man. We're going to grow the club. We're going to get more into weapons. We're going to get more into drugs. And
we're going to get more into alcohol, more into tobacco, more into firearms.
Tuesday's yoga, though. We need to stretch.
You don't want to pull anything.
And so one of the real Nazis, JB, is going to do one in Akron, right? And this
Like a new branch?
a new branch, yeah, and get more guys. and Junkyard's going to stay here at Geneva on the Lake.
And buy more hot tubs.
And now he's going to be president. So he gets made president.
JB?
Junkyard.
Junkyard.
The ATF agent is now president.
What was he? Who was president before?
I think it was
Snow?
well, it sounds
Arian
like it's
Jim?
Snow or AJ. I don't know.
Right.
Does the other house, is there like a rule? They're like, we're the gang with the hot tub, so every house has to have a hot tub. That's the
Man,
thing.
you know they had a hot tub at every house.
On their patch is a hot tub.
Yeah, it was a hot tub with.
Isn't the hot tub the last thing you expect to be at the Nazi biker house?
It's so funny.
So funny.
Everybody in.
Last one in is like a loser.
We're going to have to get a pool. So many of us here.
Hey.
Wait, who said? Did you say hey?
I did.
Okay.
Hey. This is the face he was making.
Hey, what's the chick's name from SNL? Hustle?
Oh, Melanie Hustle,
She related
amazing.
to Nipsey Hustle.
Jesus.
Am I out of it? I never even heard of the guy. I guess I'm out
He's
of
a
it.
B-level rapper.
I hadn't heard of
He
him.
seemed like a nice guy.
He seemed like a nice guy, but
All right, I'm going to start again. Ready?
Shame, tragedy.
I mean, great
But-
tweet.
I mean, the one thing is that he stayed in the community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that
Got the Crips and the Bloods. They had a
yeah.
a truce for the
Yeah.
for the funeral.
It's something.
So what happens next is he he keeps like making other contacts. Like the guy that talks to him from the Hells Angels is this guy named Willie Beard, and he's actually kind of cool with them because he likes how they handled that situation. And they go out to shooting guns on his property, and he goes, "Let me take you into the basement. I want to show you something." And it's him. It's Junkyard and another ATF agent.
Oh my God.
And
Let me take you in the basement. I want to show you something.
and he goes, as an undercover agent, those are the words you don't want to hear ever. And
But also, maybe there's some cool shit down there.
and he's like,
Oh,
and then
wow.
we go down.
You love computers.
We go down, and the floor's covered in plastic. And he goes, and I looked at Shorty,
Oh my God.
and we looked at each other like, this is it. And then a big fucking cobra comes slithering over.
This is where I wrestle. a snake.
The guy's mad into snakes,
Yeah.
like poisonous, venomous snakes.
Of course.
Yeah, mad into snakes.
This is.
It's one genius after another.
Yeah.
Wait, but his nickname wasn't Snake? It seems like
yeah.
that should have been his nickname. Snake Jim.
And basically he gets to the point where he goes like, I want you guys to be Hells Angels Charter Club too.
What?
Yeah.
A charter club?
A charter.
Well, it's like a legion, you know?
He wanted them to be a chapter in Erie. He called it a charter.
Yeah, it's like a Moose Lodge.
Can
you know,
can you have two bike motorcycle clubs?
Well, that's the thing is that
Oh.
they were like, well, why would we want to be Hells Angels when there's nothing better than the Aryan Brotherhood?
Yeah, we're kind of predicated upon being superior.
Yeah. And they're getting
Hey, you guys are pretty cool guys, brother.
they're recording.
I like
they're
your
recruiting
snakes.
recruiting more people, and they're bringing in more undercovers, right? And I mean, there's female agents too that are like, friends with the bikers' wives, and they're getting information on a whole different side of things. Like,
Very smart. Very
you
good.
know,
You guys, there's a really great opportunity for us in the Aryan Brotherhood, hon.
yeah.
There's a lot of upward mobility. The guys at the agency are really saying there's a lot of great stuff going on.
Oh, you got to get in the ground floor.
Yeah.
We're building. We're building.
And that's actually where the guy lives.
Yeah. Starting an 11-day riot. He's doing a 12-day sale at the Pontiac dealership.
He's got great leadership skills. He ran an 11-day riot in solitary.
He starts doing promotions.
Like,
You
like
could sell Amway.
the stuff from the wives must have been very interesting in a different way, though.
Oh my God!
Because you're getting like, he's scared of spiders.
yeah. He
Jim.
Junkyard had some trouble getting it up last night. Don't tell the guys.
So they're buying crack, they're buying coke, they're buying meth.
It's all white.
It's
all white.
Yeah,
White powder.
the white
powder.
Yeah. It's all in a bag marked white.
Got that white. Got that white. Got that white. Got that white.
Got that white too. What's that? I don't know. And they're prescription drugs. It's
I guess we'll call her.
and they're just they're getting more and more people. It's like scumbags attract scumbags.
And no takedowns because it's still like
still growing.
There's a bigger fish. There's always a bigger fish type of thing.
Yeah. And then time goes by, and in the meantime, you're like, oh, I bought a gun from David Snow. I got that charge on him. Okay, cool. And it's like the charges just keep building and building and building. It's really fucked up. I mean, in kind of a way, it is like entrapment because it's just like, I mean, what laws did you break?
Right now, you're going to pinch this guy for poisonous snakes and.
Oh right, yeah.
Harboring a illegal animal. And,
yeah.
This basement's not the code.
Exactly.
This is a load-bearing wall here, dude. You can't have that.
What is this? This is shoddy.
This is shoddy craftsmanship.
And then there's the pagans. They come across those guys.
Wait, what?
The pagans.
Like druids? Like the guys that built Stonehenge?
Yeah, well, the warlocks and the pagans. And
I'm Druid Jim.
So they buy a bunch of chop off one of these guys, and he's a dude named Snake.
Dude named Snake.
And
best Nazi hot tub party ever.
Yeah.
When the druids show up.
And now it's going in
party.
Pennsylvania too, so they have like 18 undercovers in 2 states in this same fucking thing that started with being like, oh, guy named Junkyard. Yeah.
And so like, is Elvis signing off on this? Because he was a member of the ATF, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So somebody at the top is like, yeah, we can assign more undercover agents.
Yeah.
Who here is bald with a tattoo?
I have a tattoo. Full head of hair.
Sorry.
This dude shows up, and he's named Wild Bill, right? And he's like not a biker, but he's just a scumbag. And
he drives cars, and he's this guy.
And he's like, they start talking about crime. They're in a strip club, and he's like, "What are you guys looking for?" And so he ends up riding shotgun in Wild Bill's truck, right, with Shorty, the other undercover.
Junkyard is?
Yeah, and there's another undercover named Roach.
Roach?
Yeah. And they go to this nice house in the suburbs in Akron, and they're like, "There's no fucking way this is Wild Bill's house," right? And they go inside, and there's an old man on the couch, and he's like, "Dad, this is Junkyard and Shorty, fucking gonna be doing some business upstairs, whatever." And he's like, "Hurry up, your mom's gonna be home soon." And he's like, "All right, whatever." And so
Fuck you, Dad!
Yeah, the dad knows what's going on.
Hey, son, there's a funny Marmaduke today.
Yeah, and
your friend.
So he goes.
Your friend Booger's at the door. You know a Booger, Roach?
Yeah. How about on Growing Pains? It's just that dude named Boner.
Yeah,
Boner.
Yeah.
Good for him. And so he kicks open the closet, and it's like pistols, machine guns, rifles, and he's like, "How many?" And he goes, "We'll take it all." Right? And duffel bag full of guns. On the way out, the mom comes home, right? And she's like, she's a sweet lady.
Can I get you boys some tea?
That's exact. She's like, "Can I get you boys anything to eat or drink?" And he goes, "No, thank you, Mrs. Wild Bill."
Oh my God.
Bill grew up. He just had a growth spurt in his teens.
Yeah.
And wow.
He's like, "I was so embarrassed." He's like, "I felt like I was like 4 years old." No, thank you, Mrs. Wild Bill.
I'm sorry I didn't take my boots off.
That's so great.
My jack boots.
I'm sorry to take my jack boots off.
And you've got a duffel bag full of deadly weapons over your shoulder. You boys have anything to drink?
Oh no, I got a hockey practice.
Got some Kool-Aid and some sandwiches.
So then he goes back to his house proper. He doesn't live at that fucking place, and that's a shithole filled with motorcycle fucking nonsense or whatever. And he's like, "Yeah, chill out here. I'm gonna go grab us some meth." Right? And he goes out to get the meth. And
is he doing meth?
No, I don't think that.
I don't know, man. Junkyard never says that he does meth at any point in this story, but it's hard for me to imagine how you would get out of doing stuff at least
to show that you can hang.
You party, right?
But also, when you're in charge, you can probably use that as an excuse. Like, they put you in charge because they're...
Right.
But if you're like Nazi Jim, Shorty, Junkyard, and none of them do meth.
Right.
That's not going to fly.
Right. Well, I saw True Detective, man. You got to bump a couple keys of meth.
Yeah.
Maybe
to show that you can hang, and then the helicopters come.
Maybe you fake it. Maybe there's probably some ways that they've devised to...
Yeah, or you just do it and love it.
Yeah, it's
probably that.
Say, oh man, I don't do meth anymore. When I do meth, I act all Jewish. Oh no, we can't have that. Nope.
Yeah.
Cannot have that. Good thing for not doing meth, Junkyard.
I haven't done meth since I infiltrated that biker gang and became a low-level officer.
Worked my way up
in a multi-state conspiracy.
So Wild Bill comes home with the meth, and then he's like, "Hey, come down to the basement. I want to show you something." Right? Again. This is
okay. Wait, Wild Bill comes home with the meth.
Yeah.
Okay, so they had just gone to Wild Bill's mom's house.
Yeah.
Did a gun deal.
Yeah.
Wild Bill then goes out, says, "I'm gonna go get meth."
Yeah.
And he comes back to the trap house, to the
shithole.
The shithole house.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Wild Bill is just a normal scumbag who's not a part of the gang.
Yeah, he's not.
And then who invites who to the basement? I'm sorry.
Wild Bill tells them, "Come down to the basement again. I want to show you something." And again, it's all undercovers except for Wild Bill. And so they're like, Jesus fucking Christ, what is it now?
How many snakes?
And
Wild Bill's like, "Listen, I'm an undercover fan."
So there's then this old fridge down there, and just a shitload of ice all over it. Looks all fucked up, and he's like fucking struggling to get it open. And they're like, "Oh my God, there's gonna be a fucking body in there or some fucking shit, And then he just pulls out like a huge bag of chicken wings. And he's like, "Shorty, you like chicken wings?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "Here you go, man. I want you to have this, right?" Gives him the chicken wings.
Dude, I gotta show you this.
And then on the way home,
look at all these wings I bought.
And on the way home,
some guy was selling them in the parking lot for $1.
Yeah. On the way home, Shorty throws him out the window, and Junkyard's like, "What are you doing, man?" He's like, "If he drives by and sees that." So he makes him go out and find the wings in the dark, you know?
That is sloppy narc
You don't want Wild Bill being like, "I thought we were friends."
Yeah. So Willie Beard, the first basement guy with the Cobra.
Right.
He's the Hell's Angel.
So he could also be Billy Beard.
He calls Junkyard one day and he's like, "Hey man, come here." And he's like, I want to meet you and meet me at this McDonald's, whatever. And it's like noon, and he's like, "I know, he's a fucking night owl. And he's calling me out of the blue on a landline. He never does that. It's all kind of weird." And he's like, "This is bad, right?" And he's like, "They don't even shake hands or anything." And he takes me into his truck, and I'm like, "Fuck, man, is he gonna fucking kill me in this fucking thing?" And he takes out this grainy picture, and it's like Bailey, ATF agent, Nazi Jim, ATF agent, or whatever. And he's like, is that Bailey? Is that? And but it's really grainy. And he's like, "Oh fuck, man." And he goes, "No, man, I've never seen these people before in my life." And he's like, ironically, he goes, "The one thing was Nazi Jim or whatever." He goes, "But the other person in the picture was not Bailey, but it was another undercover ATF agent." Because there's that many ATF agents in the whole fucking show. And he goes, "Cool, man. It's kind of and he gets the impression that he's actually looking out for him, right? He never suspects Junkyard.
That he might be one.
Yeah.
You might have some narcs in your ranks.
Right.
Oh my God.
And the thing is that they after I think a Hell's Angels Cleveland chapter had been taken down by the ATF, they started circulating photos of ATF people, and he told them that we had actually had this 2 weeks ago, but we kind of held on to it. So he's like, "Oh, okay, that probably means they didn't think much of it." You know what I mean?
So where did they get these pictures of ATF people though?
I guess from people that got sent down. Just doing kind of their own digging on who's in it. Yeah. And then started, but they also circulating a shitty photograph that didn't even have the right guy identified.
Right.
It's a moron fucking sandwich.
Yeah, when you got 5 out of 10 guys are in the ATF, you just fire at will.
Yeah.
So
50-50.
Yeah. And these got circulated all over the country. These photographs, they were really trying to stop this infiltration. You can see how successful
they
were.
just didn't have JPEGs figured out.
Right.
What are these PNGs?
So, but once this thing happens, the supervisors at the ATF are like, shut it down. But they're getting close. Somebody's going to get fucking murdered.
Yeah.
And they got to, they got to wrap up all these convictions and get the subpoenas and the warrants and all that stuff. So they kind of keep it going for like another couple of months. And, Bailey and Nazi Jim are kind of told, like, you guys really got to fucking lay low because of, the photograph. And I'm supposed to have a fictional baby mama in Florida that I'm going to see. And the guys, like Shorty and them, said that I had a brain aneurysm in Florida and I'm dead. And they're like, can we go to the funeral? And they're like, no, his mother already had the funeral. You can't come or whatever. And all these bikers going to Florida for this.
Bailey's gone?
Junkyard.
Junkyard's gone?
Yeah.
Can we see the body?
I really liked him.
I showed him a snake.
I want to pay respects, but do I just go in the hot tub?
Is his family okay, or
is he in a hot tub somewhere? Did
So
he die in a hot tub?
he's in the big hot tub in the sky?
In 2005, it's 16 months after he had started being Junkyard. In Ohio and Pennsylvania, they did 150 law enforcement officers did the first raids and searches, and there was 59 individuals charged, and weapons and drug trafficking, identity theft, money laundering, burglary, snakes,
harboring snakes.
Yeah, snakes. You're charged with snakes.
Gotcha. On snakes.
Roaches.
And they got a murder conviction too, and so none of the undercovers were there for the raids or arrests because if you saw a biker coming into your house, you'd be more likely to pick up a weapon. So it was safer to have fucking uniformed people than anybody you would mistake for a biker. Because if a biker's coming in your house, he's not there for anything good. You know what I mean? Snow, they didn't see him. He went to prison and had his head nearly sawed off.
What?
Yeah.
In the 1 hour he was out?
In a fellow member of the Aryan Brotherhood almost cut his head off completely.
But
with what?
JB died of heart failure in the county jail. Wild Bill went back to prison.
Mom.
And
snakes.
There was one guy that just got probation and a drug charge because they forgot to tag his weapon. Yeah.
He's a really cool dude.
Yeah, nice guy.
And so the only person that we made a point to see says after the arrest was Aryan Jim. And he goes, he's about to get a 9-year sentence. And he'd be kicked out of the Brotherhood for, letting so many undercovers into the organization.
They really fucked it up as a gatekeeper.
So, I mean, you're going to...
We were a top-down...
You were Aryan Jim.
Yeah, and it was fucking ATF Jim now. And, so, he's being questioned at a police department, and one of the cops lets them in. He goes, I walked in, Nazi Jim... with Shorty, with Roach, with Ivan, and he goes, and Aryan Jim just goes, all of you?
At that point, you just gotta applaud him.
And that's
you guys are good.
That's the end of the epilogue of the movie.
It's all of you.
All of you?
Isn't that so great?
Yeah, in the Scorsese epilogue. Yeah.
Dude, Rolling Stones music or some shit.
Amazing story.
Wow.
So great. Even Ivan.
Ivan, dude, and even Ivan.
Yeah.
Ivan seemed like the worst of you.
I didn't even know you were in the game.
I didn't know an
Jesus
Ivan.
Christ, I mean, fuck, man. David Snow. The characters are like
incredible. This is again copyright 2019.
Can you imagine? You gotta smoke meth.
You gotta
hang.
And bump
you
it.
Gotta.
Yeah, you gotta chop it up.
You gotta chop something up. Otherwise, it's chop or be chopped in there, brother. Sorry.
Well, I mean, just to be around annoying people all day.
Yeah, you gotta.
You gotta get fucked. Yeah. You gotta get fucked up.
I got all this paperwork I gotta file.
Well, I mean, the hot tub is a great idea. One, because they can hide their conversations, but two, when you're around so many volatile people, You need to relax at the end of the day.
It's
just need to-
the health benefits of sauna and jacuzzi have been proven.
Yeah.
They've been proven, and with all those hot meth bodies around, you're gonna want to be in the hot tub looking fucking shredded ivory gods, you know?
Yeah. You think? You think the old Nazis were into hot tubs?
No, I don't think. I think that's. I think I was gonna say this earlier. I think the old Nazis, those the mostly death squad, scoff at these neo-Nazis.
Yeah.
With their hot tubs and their snakes.
Yeah, and their tiki torches.
Yeah,
Fucking make a real torch, you cowards.
Yeah, we turned a kid into a torch.
Yeah, fucking.
You know how flammable a head is.
It doesn't take much. You just gotta you need wood and some fucking wrapping.
Yeah.
And some gasoline. I mean, Christ.
You take the kid's clothes off, you dip it in gasoline, you wrap it around his head, and you light it on fire. You got a tiki torch.
Do you think there's like Aryan Brotherhood dudes that were like seeing those tiki torch guys and being like, man, we got soft?
I hope so.
Yeah, and then the old Nazis in Argentina and those 3 guys in Germany are like, man, we've gotten so soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, those guys
it must be all the hot tubbing.
Wow, you've been cooked. Looks like you're poached.
I do believe I'm done.
I'm cooked.
Yeah, it's pretty pathetic. It's pretty sad.
It is. That is a killer story.
No, anytime you would see a fucking Nazi biker gang, you'd be like, how many of you guys are just FBI? Like,
oh, that's what it eventually came out to be.
No, but I mean, like, don't you think it's like
at least one?
Yeah. Half the reason to be there is being a snitch.
Yeah.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
you know.
I mean, you got to say that about Hell's Angels too, or the Mongols, or any of the organizations that you know. As a civilian, you know their name. You have to imagine that they've got narcs in them.
Yeah, at least one.
So what spawned me going down this rabbit hole was the clubhouse on what was it, 3rd Street in the East Village finally closed.
Oh, right, yeah.
Hell's Angels clubhouse.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was apparently like a burned out wreck. It was bought for like $10. It's apparently like a picture of the guy buying the building for $10 back when it was like a total shithole in the 70s.
Good deal.
And it's been a known
Hell's Angels clubhouse for many, many years.
Really?
And people were like, oh, it's so sad. And it's like, meanwhile, it's like, this guy threw his girlfriend off the roof of that place. Like, it was fucking like debauched fucking scumbaggery up and down, you know, and they just like started complaining about like the Starbucks crowd, and they're like, you know, we have like all these parking disputes.
Our bikes getting ticketed. Wait, I like the
Gunner spilled his latte on my Harley.
Yeah,
the FBI is like they catch a lot of people who are about to commit mass atrocities. But a lot of these people who are about to commit mass atrocities, we're white guys, of course, but they're not part of these gangs because these gangs. Like something like the Hells Angels, they deal in trafficking, but not murder because the money is in the trafficking. There's no money in the murder.
Right.
No. And I'm not saying anyway they're good people or anything. I'm just saying the murder has shifted to now like crazy.
They outsource it.
Yeah.
You're not gonna risk a good Hells Angel to do what you can pay a familiar to do.
Right.
Pay the familiar who's not a part of your organization. You have plausible deniability.
Or even if you antagonize, if you give them enough shit that antagonizes them, you don't even have to pay them.
Right.
They'll do it on their own because they're insane.
Dangle a membership over their head.
Yeah. It's a lot of there'd be a lot of former military guys would go into that too.
Hells Angels.
There's a whole streak of white supremacy that's in the military.
There's a lot of white supremacy
everywhere. But also like the PTSD crowd is like they're looking for some
camaraderie. The crowd,
high octane,
anything that is reminiscent of that. What would you call that?
Like the camaraderie?
Anything that's reminiscent of that kind of,
the bon ami.
Bon mi?
Bon ami.
Those are good sandwiches, dude.
Yeah.
But it's also like you can prove you're tough in some
It's
dumb way.
Society. Anything that's kind of that social structure.
Well, I mean, think about like coming back from Vietnam and stuff like that.
And this is not to paint a swath of that every.
No, not at all. But I mean, you're damaged, right? And you're still you still want action, right? That's kind of a thing you can't really give up. And then you have this rebellionist.
Right.
Thing anyway, because you see like what a joke Vietnam was,
and you're
angry.
You already have a Punisher,
and you're just kind of like, guess I'll hang out with these psychos and
Yeah.
you know. But yeah, it's really not pretty. There's a weird aspect to it too.
War is hell, and hell has angels, dude.
It goes into borderline paramilitary stuff sometimes too. Like these guys, when they would be targeting each other, they would use explosives a lot. There was
Can't do ballistics on explosives.
There's a lot of guys that were suspected in multiple bombings of other clubhouses. It's so there is like this weird thing to it too, where like the numbers, if they're not full of ATF agents, they're kind of like, there's a lot of power there. There's a lot of like a kind of a smoke screen. It's hard to identify who's doing what and stuff. You know?
I mean bombs and here life hack. If you're trying to, do damage and not get caught, bombs are the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like shootings are a great way to get caught.
Right.
Because bullets can be traced.
Mm-hmm.
They're loud.
Right.
They go back. You can follow a trajectory. You can do ballistics. It's a cry for help.
Well, I mean,
but bombs are you can set it and forget it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you can't because there's still if there's cameras anywhere, they can time
work that back too.
Yeah,
of course,
yeah.
now definitely now.
Yeah.
The fact that there's a surveillance state makes it a lot harder to do those things, which is I guess good.
Yeah. So they caught the Boston bomber and Timothy McVeigh and blah blah.
Yeah, Timothy McVeigh.
Speaking of white nationalists,
Yeah.
fucking
trained by
neo-Nazi
Uncle Sam,
Probably didn't.
Didn't do it. Is that what
No,
you're saying?
probably.
Wow.
I mean, probably.
Wow, John.
Probably didn't do it alone, and
No, he
probably
didn't do it.
and
No, he didn't do it
definitely
alone.
never gave up any co-conspirators.
Yeah, he kept his mouth shut. Like
No,
a
there
good
was
soldier.
one guy that was arrested with him. He didn't give him up, but they arrested him as well.
Oh yeah. Huh.
Man, people don't talk about that guy anymore.
Yeah, he was
Not that long ago.
There was
all the fucking people with tiki torches. They're allied with fucking Timothy McVeigh. All those fucking shit ass polo shirt cowards. Yeah.
It's I mean,
they're all the same white supremacist type person.
Yeah.
And they're fucking phony libertarian bullshit.
I don't think Timothy. I think Timothy McVeigh was just very, very led astray.
Yeah, but by what?
Was he courted by undercover FBI people too?
Timothy McVeigh?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Oftentimes, the FBI will give somebody like a phony explosive or something.
Yes.
And then they'll really truly entrap people.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
kidding,
well, they'll do things-
just kidding. If you're listening, you guys are right.
They'll sell guns to him because they'll talk to the guy, and the guy's like, I want to commit mass murder, and they're like, okay, so
Cool.
well, how are you gonna do it? And then they'll say, okay, I can sell you the guns.
Right.
So they sell them the guns. They catch
Yeah. That was like part of the thing too with these ATF agents. Like they were so well liked by these bikers they were infiltrating because they were spending so much money. So it'd be like, man, I'm always in a good mood whenever this junkyard's around. It's like, yeah, he's giving you tons of money for the machine guns you
likes
build.
all your Facebook posts.
yeah, exactly. And you're like, I guess he's my friend.
He gives me a good dopamine drip whenever he's around. Let's keep him around. Fucking interesting.
But McVeigh, the thing about McVeigh that was like, startling was that he was like, when he'd quote like Colin Powell and stuff like that, he'd talk about collateral damage and stuff. That was like the part of it where you go
Colin's
like, like you'd kind of be like, oh yeah, he's like kind of like this mirror of the fucking damage we do overseas done at home, but he just fell in with all that rural radical bullshit, that whole fucking the Ruby Ridge Waco kind of like, and it's always a step away from Nazism. It's always like, but it's like this all that stuff about like just the part of America that's like they believe it's just about owning land and nothing else. There's like a lot of America is based on get off my lawn.
Yeah, and I don't want to pay taxes and shit.
Yeah.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I mean they really.
Well, it's because it's the only thing in sight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and if you take something by force, then you're
more likely
somebody's gonna do it to me, obviously.
Right. We're cucking them by taking their tax money.
So you not only get your land stolen from you.
Well, I stole this land fair and square from the red man.
Well, like a fucking Bundy and those shitbags, the fucking Nevada ranchers. He didn't pay any of the taxes on the U.S. land he was ranching on for like 30 years.
Yeah.
And then he gets pissed about it, having to pay the fucking taxes that he owes the fucking government who set up the land and killed all the Indians so he could fucking graze there.
Yeah, you gotta pay for that murder, dude.
Right.
And so they take over a fucking government national park or whatever the fuck.
And they did not get shot at.
Well, one of them did get shot.
Yeah.
Did he?
Because he deserved it. Because he pulled out a gun against the FBI or whatever the fuck. Because they were running away, and then he pulled out a gun, and they shot him. Because fuck these like little fucking whiny ass shitbags who fucking use all this shit and then don't want to pay for it because what they don't deserve fucking.
Well, the thing you forget about these people is that they're out in the middle of nowhere, and they can just concoct these.
Yeah.
Ideas that are preposterous.
And there's nobody saying no.
And there's nobody even being like, you don't have any problems.
Yeah.
The rest of the world has actual problems. Like,
the Bundy
shut
family.
the fuck up.
The Bundys told that they had a fake history about their own family where they said, we bought this land. We've been on this land for hundreds of years. And they went to court for it, and a judge was like, no, you've been here 30 years. And so that
felt like 100.
Yeah, it was a long time. It was just like, no, it's just like, it's fucking total bullshit. And they just don't want to have to pay their fair share for fucking abusing the fucking land that the government killed Indians for. Yeah, I don't know. I can't stand these fucking
You gotta pay your
people.
fair share of a dead Indian. I am sorry.
Yeah.
I'm very, very sorry.
Meanwhile, we took the land from all of these fucking...
Very remorseful, John.
All these fucking Indians. We don't give
Fair
them
is fair.
shit.
We don't give them shit.
Did I
No,
tell
we
you,
give them barely shit.
I mean,
This,
we give them pollution. We steal their kids.
This dude I knew was Native American, and
These people are tired.
he was talking about. He's like, yeah, he's like, my girlfriend took me out to her ranch, and I was like in her family for like a lot of years, and she was like, yeah, it's my grandfather's, and before that it was my great grandfather's, and he goes, before that it was my great grandfather's.
yeah.
Keep it in the family, man.
Yeah. So funny.
He's like, he has to marry into it to take it back.
Yeah.
But those kinds of the rural radicals, I definitely want to do more profiles on in the future because those guys are just interesting. It's like, it is important to understand those people and like where they're coming from because you forget about them and then you fucking lose an election, man.
Yep.
It's like whether you think what they believe in is ridiculous or not. It's just like you should understand it. Yeah, they're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And fucking it is interesting how much they really believe the government is out to get them, sincerely.
Yeah, and that's not even political. Like, me calling the Bundys cocksuckers is not liberal. They're fucking cocksuckers. I don't have to be a fucking liberal to call them cocksuckers.
Yeah, and if you're a cocksucker yourself, that's great.
The best.
Hey, cock's gotta get sucked. And this is not to besmirch good cocksuckers around the country.
Absolutely not.
This is really just to besmirch the Bundys.
Yes.
Right.
Good fine cocksuckers on both sides.
Right. Yeah.
Isn't that right, John?
That's exactly right, Aaron.
That's exactly right.
That's the way.
I'll put it to a law!
I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
What?
My back is broken.
Vertebrae?
Spine.
I'm so glad.
Oh,
Quick. Medical term. Spinal.
Spinal.
Jim Gray's best interview.
What do you mean by that?
That and the Pete Rose.
Yeah, that's the Pete Rose. You're fucking nailing it, Jim. Great
Can we
job.
get the Pete Rose one? I want to see this
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
We'll put it out.
All right, next time on the very special profiles, one clip of Pete Rose. Wasn't this fun?
Yes.
This was a very Profiles episode of
Very,
Profiles.
very fun.
Piss beer,
Mm-hmm.
Piscopo,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nazi, neo-Nazi.
Yeah. Scary Nazis and not so scary Nazis.
Yeah. Snakes.
Nazis and not-sos.
I think that's
exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly
Stop.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, we're going to say goodnight, everybody. My name is John Fahey.
I'm Aaron Pita.
Matt Brousseau.
Good night, everybody. We love you.